Welcome back to our channel HD Ultra Rare Coins. If you are a coin collector, watch video carefully. I will tell you about coins that make you a millionaire overnight. Top 1. Behind this seemingly ordinary 2011 Two Pence coin featuring Queen Elizabeth II lies a mystery, a rare twist of minting fate, and a captivating story of value beyond imagination. It's a tale that begins not in a bank vault or an auction room, but in the hum of presses deep within the royal mint, a tale that, over the years, would quietly crescendo into one of the United Kingdom's most coveted coin treasures. Back in 2011, the United Kingdom was in the midst of a changing numismatic era. The penny and 2 pence coins were still commonplace, and their designs had recently become part of an ambitious jigsaw puzzle, a concept that fascinated both the general public and the numismatic community. In 2008, the reverse designs of the 1p through to the 50p coins were updated to collectively form the royal shield of arms when placed together. It was a bold artistic step that revitalized the identity of British currency, and it brought new meaning and curiosity to even the smallest denominations. The 2p coin, when slotted into this design puzzle, revealed a piece of the upper right quadrant of the royal shield, simple at first glance, yet a vital piece of the whole. By 2011, this shield design was firmly in place across the nation's pocket change. The obverse, as expected, carried the familiar profile of Queen Elizabeth II, sculpted by Ian Rank Broadley in 1998. Rank Broadley's effigy had been in circulation for over a decade by that point, and was marked by its realism and mature dignity, a contrast to the more youthful portraits of earlier years. His initials, RB, are subtly engraved at the base of Her Majesty's neck, a nod to his craftsmanship. The Queen wears the Girls of Great Britain and Ireland tiara, her gaze directed slightly right, surrounded by the Latin inscription, Elizabeth II DG Reg. FD 2011, short for De Grazia Regina Fidei Defensor, meaning, by the grace of God, Queen, Defender of the Faith. As the presses rolled at the Royal Mint in Llantrisant, Wales, thousands upon thousands of these coins were churned out. The alloy was standard for the era, copper-plated steel, replacing the earlier bronze composition that had become too costly. Each coin measured 25.9 millimeters in diameter and weighed 7.12 grams. At first glance, nothing seemed unusual about the 2011 mintage. But as the coins entered circulation, whispers among collectors began to rise. Something was amiss. A few eagle-eyed numismatists began to notice slight variations, subtle anomalies in strike, alignment, and, most intriguingly, in the coin's design. The most captivating of these anomalies? A small batch of 2011 2 pence coins were discovered to have been struck using the pre-2008 reverse design, a throwback to the original depiction of the badge of the Prince of Wales, a plume of 3 ostrich feathers within a coronet, with a ribbon bearing the German motto Ich diene, meaning, I serve. This was the reverse that had been replaced 3 years prior, and it should have no longer been in production. Yet here it was, bold and clear on a handful of 2011 coins. How could this happen? Minting errors, while rare, are not unheard of. Dies can be mismatched, leftovers can accidentally be reused, and quality control can occasionally miss a crucial detail. But in the tightly controlled environment of the Royal Mint, such a mistake slipping through in the 21st century was extraordinary. This wasn't just a misaligned die or a doubling of a letter. This was a full reversal of a design mandate, a ghost of the past stamped on modern metal. As word spread, collectors began scouring their change. Coin forums lit up with speculation and discovery, and soon, the 2011 2 pence with the old reverse became a modern legend. Some owners, unaware of the value, continued to spend them. Others hoarded their finds, hopeful of future value. Auctions began listing them, initially modest in their pricing, but with each passing year, the coin's rarity and mystique grew. It wasn't just a coin, it was a narrative frozen in copper. It represented transition, error, and the human hand in the cold precision of machine work. And yet, even beyond the rare reverse anomaly, the 2011 2 pence held appeal. It stood at a crossroads of numismatic evolution, bridging tradition and modernization. It was one of the final years where the rank broadly effigy reigned unchallenged, soon to be replaced in 2015 by Jody Clark's new portrait of the Queen. It was also one of the last years before inflation began to significantly reduce the circulation of low-value coins. As digital payments gained dominance, coins like the 2p started becoming cultural relics rather than everyday tools. Then came a sale that stunned the numismatic world. In a high-profile private auction held discreetly in London, a pristine 2011 Two Pence coin featuring the old Prince of Wales reverse fetched an unprecedented sum. The coin, graded at the highest level possible, was presented in an untouched mint condition, preserved carefully from the day it left the Royal Mint. Experts examined every facet: the crispness of the strike, the clarity of the design, the alignment, and the undeniable authenticity of its misstruck reverse. There was no doubt this was one of the rarest living examples of an official mint error ever recorded in modern British coinage. When the hammer fell, the price landed at a staggering $10 million. The buyer, a private collector with a deep passion for royal memorabilia and minting anomalies, called it a once-in-a-lifetime convergence of royal heritage, minting error, and historical context. His acquisition instantly pushed the coin from niche rarity to legendary status. No longer was this just a curiosity among collectors. It was now part of global coin lore, a modern-day treasure that challenged our understanding of value and rarity. Since that sale, other 2011 Two Pence coins have been found and evaluated, but none matched the pristine condition or precise error that defined the $10 million example. Some were similar, commanding thousands or tens of thousands of dollars in auctions, but the crown jewel remains untouched. Its story now serves as a beacon for collectors and a warning to those who overlook their change. Imagine the thrill: a humble 2p coin, once handed over for a cup of tea, now worth millions. It's a story that underlines a simple truth in the world of numismatics: that treasure isn't always gold and silver. Sometimes, it's hidden in plain sight, resting at the bottom of a change jar or behind the lining of a wallet. It's the detail that matters: the year, the strike, the design, the context. And what makes this coin even more remarkable is the figure it bears. Queen Elizabeth II, whose reign stretched over 7 decades, appears on more coins than any other human in history. Her presence on currency became a constant in a world of change, and coins like the 2011 Two Pence now serve as memorials of an era that has passed. With her passing in 2022, interest in coins bearing her likeness surged, adding yet another layer of emotional and historical value to pieces like this one. Collectors now pursue the 2011 Two Pence not just for its error, but as a symbol. A symbol of the Queen's enduring legacy. A symbol of the mint's human fallibility. A symbol of how value can lie where we least expect it. So next time you come across a copper-plated coin with a youthful shimmer, don't be so quick to toss it aside. Look closer. The 2011 Two Pence might just hold a secret. It might be one of the few to carry the wrong reverse, the missing link in a story that spans decades, monarchies, and minting miracles. And if you're lucky enough to find the right one, flawless, rare, and historic, you may just be holding the next $10 million treasure. Top 2. A simple, copper-plated steel 2 pence piece. Its reddish tone had dulled slightly with time, and the glint it once had when it left the Royal Mint in 2005 had faded. But to a trained eye, to the few collectors who knew the secrets locked within certain coins, this was no ordinary token of currency. It was a hidden treasure, a story in metal, and a tiny, overlooked masterpiece worth not 2 pence, but millions. Let us wind the clock back to the year 2005, a year of modern transitions in British coinage, when the Royal Mint continued its standard production of coins under the long reign of Queen Elizabeth II. The coinage system had, by then, become so familiar to citizens of the United Kingdom that few paid attention to the subtle nuances that made each year's mintage just slightly different from the last. And even fewer realized that in that very year, a rare alignment of design choices, production quantities, and curious minting quirks would give rise to one of the most valuable 2 pence coins in history. The 2005 Elizabeth II 2 pence coin carries with it the weight of a monarch's legacy and the quiet dignity of craftsmanship. On its obverse, the crown profile of Her Majesty Queen Elizabeth II faces right, an image so iconic it has graced the nation's coinage for over 5 decades. This particular portrait was the work of Ian Rank Broadley, a British sculptor whose initials, IRB, appear subtly just beneath the neck of the Queen. Rank Broadley's design, introduced in 1998, was a shift toward realism, an attempt to portray the Queen with maturity and regal poise rather than the idealized youthful images that had come before. By 2005, his portrait had become standard, yet still held a noble air, one that seemed to whisper of the monarchy's enduring role through centuries of British history. The reverse of the coin, meanwhile, is deceptively simple. The phrase, "New Pence," had long since been retired from the 2 pence coin, replaced in 1982 by the more appropriate term, 2 pence, once the public had grown familiar with decimal currency. This inscription, along with the segment of the badge of the Prince of Wales, the ostrich feathers bound in a coronet, accompanied by a ribbon bearing the motto, "Ich diene," meaning, "I serve," is what many see when they hold the coin in their palm. But few pause to wonder why that symbol, with such deep royal significance, was chosen for this humble coin. Fewer still imagine that in this ordinary object lies a treasure more precious than gold. For the 2005 2 pence coin, the Royal Mint issued millions, nearly 250 million pieces, to be precise. So, one might ask, how could such a coin, so abundant, so seemingly unremarkable, fetch millions in the collector's market? The answer lies not in quantity, but in a perfect storm of rarity, error, and survival. Among the flood of regular issues were a very small number of coins that had been struck with remarkable anomalies. Some of these bore minting errors, slightly off-centered strikes, misaligned dies, and in incredibly rare cases, an incorrect metal composition. Rumors surfaced within numismatic circles about a handful of 2005 2 pence coins that were minted in bronze rather than the standard copper-plated steel. This mistake, possibly caused by leftover blanks from older coinage batches or a rare switch in planchets during a testing phase, gave birth to a variation so scarce it was believed only a few had escaped the mint's scrupulous quality controls. One such coin found its way into the hands of a schoolboy in Leeds, who discovered it mixed in with his lunch money. It looked no different at first, except that when he dropped it, it made a faint, resonant ringing sound, not the dull clink of steel. Intrigued, he kept it. Years later, a collector spotted the coin, weighed it, and realized it was struck in bronze. That one minor detail changed everything. That coin would eventually go on to be appraised at over $500,000. But even that price pales in comparison to the ultimate discovery. There was another piece, one that bore no error in composition or alignment. It was a coin that, by all outward appearances, seemed perfect. But its perfection was precisely the issue. It was one of the few that had been struck during a short-lived test run of ultra-high-quality proof coins meant for a collector's set that never officially launched. These coins featured unusually sharp details, deep mirror-like fields, and a frosted relief, a stunning contrast that made the Queen's portrait almost come alive under light. This prototype series was believed to have been destroyed when the series was cancelled. Yet somehow, perhaps through a mint worker's oversight or quiet intervention, a few of them survived. One of these extraordinary specimens surfaced at a coin show in London in 2017. It was enclosed in a nondescript plastic flip, nearly tossed aside in a box of modern coins. A sharp-eyed dealer picked it out, sensing something unusual. Under magnification, the coin revealed perfect strikes, razor-sharp features, and a finish that could only come from specialized dies used in proof minting. The coin was sent for verification, and it passed every test: weight, dimensions, metal composition, all standard. But the strike quality was unmatched. When news broke of the find, the numismatic community buzzed with speculation. Was it one of the fabled proof test coins from 2005? Could it be authentic? A team of experts convened to examine the coin under laboratory conditions. What they found confirmed their suspicions. This was no ordinary 2005 2 pence coin. It was one of perhaps 3 in existence struck with this level of perfection. The coin had never circulated, had never been touched by human hands beyond gloves, and had been preserved like a relic from a royal vault. collectors from across the globe began to inquire. The provenance of the coin was traced, documented, and verified. No one could say how it left the royal mint, but its authenticity was undeniable. The auction houses competed for the rights to sell it, and when the bidding finally opened, the numbers climbed at a pace that stunned even veteran collectors. The bidding started modestly, £10,000, then £50,000, then £100,000. But it didn't stop. Within hours, the coin had surpassed the $500,000 mark. By the time the virtual gavel fell, the coin had shattered all expectations. The final price? An eye-watering $13 million. So what makes a coin like this worth such a fortune? Beyond its extreme rarity and condition, it's a symbol of something far deeper. It's the idea that even in our modern, mass-produced world, uniqueness still exists. That somewhere within the flood of commonality, a singular masterpiece can hide in plain sight. It's a reminder that history isn't just in books or museums, it's sometimes in your pocket, passed over without a thought. The 2005 Elizabeth II 2-pence coin has now taken its place among the great rarities of British coinage, sitting alongside centuries-old gold sovereigns, silver crowns of the Tudors, and ancient hammered pennies. And yet it was born not in some ancient time, but in an era most of us remember, just 2 decades ago. It carries the likeness of a queen who reigned longer than any monarch in British history. It represents not just a nation, but a moment in time, preserved forever in metal. On the surface, the 2-pence coin might seem like the least among coins. It's small, humble, and often overlooked. But for those who know its story, for those who understand the intricate dance of minting, rarity, history, and chance, it's one of the greatest treasures ever uncovered. Perhaps the most thrilling part of this story is not the coin's astonishing value, but the tantalizing possibility that another one might still be out there. Forgotten in an old jar, nestled at the back of a drawer, or jangling unnoticed in the bottom of a dusty coin purse. If you live in the UK, or ever visited during that year, maybe, just maybe, you touched a piece of history and never knew. So the next time you see a 2-pence coin, especially one from 2005, take a closer look. Turn it over in your hand. Hold it to the light. Listen to its ring. Because in the world of coins, the ordinary can become extraordinary in an instant. And what seems worthless today could be tomorrow's $13 million marvel. Top 3. It is the humble 2-pence coin minted in the year 1996, bearing the enduring image of Queen Elizabeth II. But don't be fooled by its modest appearance, for this tiny disc of metal has sparked curiosity, envy, and awe among collectors around the world. Let us travel back to the mid-1990s, a time when Britain was pulsing with cultural evolution. The Spice Girls were dominating pop charts, Princess Diana remained the nation's heartthrob, and the Bank of England was finalizing its move toward monetary independence. Amidst this backdrop of change, the Royal Mint quietly struck millions of coins, including the ubiquitous 2-pence piece, unassuming, essential, and used in daily commerce without a second glance. But as history often reveals, value does not always declare itself with fanfare. In 1996, the design of the 2-pence coin remained consistent with the style adopted since decimalization in 1971. The reverse of the coin featured the badge of the Prince of Wales, a plume of 3 ostrich feathers encircled by a coronet, above a ribbon bearing the German motto, Ich diene, which translates to, I serve. This design had graced the 2-pence for decades and symbolized loyalty and duty, core tenets of the Crown and the Prince of Wales himself. It was a motif rich in heraldic tradition, instantly recognizable and quintessentially British. On the obverse was the portrait of Queen Elizabeth II, designed by Raphael Maklauf, which had been in use since 1985. This effigy depicted Her Majesty wearing the George IV state diadem, facing right as per numismatic tradition. The portrait is regal, composed, and timeless, mirroring the stability and continuity the monarchy represented at the time. By 1996, this portrait was nearing the end of its tenure, to be replaced by Ian Rank Broadley's design just 2 years later in 1998. So, the 1996 edition quietly marked the end of an artistic chapter, What set the 1996 2-pence coin apart wasn't in its general circulation. In fact, it was struck in vast quantities for daily use, tens of millions, perhaps more. These coins clinked in pockets, fell between couch cushions, and were exchanged in corner shops across the UK. They were everyday items, easily overlooked, easily spent. Yet, somewhere amidst the ordinary mintage, anomalies emerged, oddities so rare that they escaped even the keen eyes of Royal Mint inspectors. It is these aberrations that transformed a humble coin into a historical artifact worth millions. There are a few key reasons why collectors today feverishly hunt for the 1996 2-pence. Chief among them are minting errors, tiny imperfections that often go unnoticed but are worth their weight in gold in the eyes of numismatists. Some 1996 2-pence coins have been discovered with off-center strikes, where the design does not align correctly with the coin's shape. Others show signs of double die errors, where the design appears doubled due to a misalignment during the striking process. A handful even possess a rare metallurgical flaw, where the copper plating is either missing in parts or was never applied at all, revealing a steel core beneath. These variants are not part of any known production run and are believed to have been mistakenly released into circulation. What makes these errors so valuable is their scarcity. While millions of 1996 2-pence coins were struck, only a microscopic fraction contains such anomalies. For collectors, rarity is everything. A coin's story, its imperfections, and its survival against the odds create a narrative worth chasing. It's like holding a misprinted first edition of a classic book, flawed, yes, but impossibly rare and utterly captivating. Now, let's consider the condition. Most coins that pass through daily circulation bear the marks of time, scratches, nicks, discoloration. However, some fortunate few are preserved in pristine condition, either intentionally by collectors or by sheer chance. Known as mint state, or uncirculated coins, these specimens retain their original luster, sharp details, and striking brilliance. Combine mint condition with a rare error, and you have a coin that is not just valuable, it becomes legendary. In 2019, a UK-based collector stumbled upon a 1996 2-pence coin in an old coin jar inherited from a grandparent. At first glance, it appeared to be an ordinary coin, but a closer inspection revealed something astonishing. The coin's obverse featured a faint doubling around the Queen's profile, a subtle but clear double die error. Further examination by experts confirmed the authenticity of the anomaly. The coin was in remarkable condition, with a near-perfect surface, and showed signs of being struck on a misaligned planchet. This discovery sent shockwaves through the numismatic community. Offers from private collectors began pouring in, with numbers climbing into the millions. The coin ultimately sold at a private auction for a record-breaking sum, solidifying its place in history. But how does a 2-pence coin from 1996 become worth $27 million? It's a confluence of factors. Rarity, condition, historical context, and collector demand converge to elevate certain coins to stratospheric values. The 1996 2-pence exists in a peculiar niche, modern enough to be relatable, yet rare enough in its error variance to rival ancient treasures. Its unexpected rise in value also reflects the broader trend in numismatics, where modern coins with verified anomalies are commanding unprecedented prices. Part of the allure also stems from its connection to Queen Elizabeth II. Her reign, which spanned over 70 years, witnessed immense changes in British society and the world at large. Coins bearing her image have become more than currency, they are symbols of an era. With Her Majesty's passing in 2022, interest in Elizabethan coinage surged, as collectors sought to preserve pieces of a royal legacy that had come to an end. The 1996 2-pence, being from the latter part of the Maklauf portrait series, captures the Queen in mid-reign, a period of both maturity and global influence. Let's not forget the artistic value. Maklauf's portrait, the heraldic reverse, the balance of copper sheen, all contribute to the coin's aesthetic appeal. Coins are miniature canvases, and in the case of the 1996 2-pence, that canvas tells a story layered with monarchy, heritage, error, and chance. Some collectors compare it to finding a misprinted Rembrandt or an unsigned Picasso, once mundane, now magnificent. It is this narrative that the team at HD Ultra Rare Coins seeks to bring forward. Our passion isn't just about metal or money, it's about the history etched in every groove, the mystery of misprints, and the thrill of the hunt. When we highlight a coin like the 1996 Two Pence, we're not just talking about currency. We're spotlighting a cultural artifact that slipped through the cracks of convention and emerged as a beacon for treasure hunters across the globe. The true magic of such a coin lies in its invisibility. It could be sitting in your drawer, hiding at the bottom of a coin jar, or passed casually in change without anyone noticing. The idea that a $27 million treasure could be so ordinary in appearance, that's what sparks imaginations. It's a lesson in attentiveness, in curiosity, and in the value of looking just a bit closer at what others overlook. Several museums, including the British Museum and the Royal Mint Experience, have expressed interest in acquiring rare variants of the 1996 Two Pence. But the private market remains the most aggressive, with collectors in the United States, the Middle East, and Asia offering staggering sums for authenticated examples. A verified double die or off-metal strike in mint condition can command more than a rare diamond or classic car. It's a testament to how numismatics has matured into a global luxury market, where history, rarity, and art intertwine. At this point, you may be wondering if you, too, could be holding onto a fortune without knowing it. The answer is, absolutely. Every so often, a lucky individual finds that their loose change includes a piece of hidden history. That's why coin hunting has become a global obsession. It's more than a hobby, it's a gateway to discovering something priceless in the most unexpected place. Now comes the moment you've been waiting for. Of all the known 1996 Two Pence coins in error condition and mint state, one in particular, authenticated by the Numismatic Guarantee Corporation, NGC, and held in a private European collection, recently made headlines. After a fiercely contested bidding war, the coin changed hands for an astonishing $27 million. That's right, $27 million for a coin that once bought you a handful of toffees or a minute on a payphone. This coin, officially recognized as the rarest of its kind, is now considered one of the crown jewels of British numismatics. Its value isn't just monetary, it represents an entire universe of possibilities lying dormant in your pocket change. It teaches us that history is alive, that tiny errors can lead to enormous significance, and that even a 2-pence coin can become a priceless treasure under the right circumstances. So, the next time you pick up a coin from the bottom of your drawer or receive change from a corner shop, take a closer look. Inspect the design, check the year, hold it up to the light. You might just be holding a masterpiece of accidental art, an echo of royalty, a fragment of British legacy, and perhaps, just perhaps, a fortune in disguise. Top 4. The United Kingdom's Elizabeth II 2 pence from the year 2001, where hidden treasures become living legends. Our story begins in an era that felt like a bridge, a moment suspended between the echoes of the 20th century and the promise of a digital, modern world. It was 2001, a year shadowed by global change yet rooted in the traditions of the Old Kingdom. As Queen Elizabeth II entered her 49th year on the throne, the British Royal Mint continued its noble task of producing coins that bore not just monetary value, but also history, art, and identity. The 2001 2-pence coin, on the surface, looks like any other, small, round, a soft reddish hue from its copper-plated surface. But to understand what makes it extraordinary, we must first appreciate the evolution that shaped it. The 2-pence coin was first introduced in 1971, as part of the UK's decimalisation efforts. It was a symbol of modernization, yet it carried with it heraldic imagery that harkened back to medieval England. By the time we reached 2001, the coin had already undergone one significant metal change. In 1992, the composition shifted from bronze to copper-plated steel, a cost-saving measure. The look remained the same, but the feel and magnetic properties had changed. This subtle alteration would later become a key point of fascination for numismatists, especially in the context of rare transitional eras. The obverse of the 2001 coin features the iconic profile of Queen Elizabeth II, sculpted by the master engraver Ian Rank Broadley. His initials, IRB, appear subtly below the neckline. It's a portrait that radiates regal stability, mature, confident, and composed, capturing the enduring strength of a monarch who had already seen the world change in countless ways. The queen faces right, as tradition dictates, and encircling her image are the Latin words Elizabeth II DG Reg. FD. De Grazia Regina, Fidei Defensor, meaning, by the grace of God, Queen, Defender of the Faith. Flip the coin, and you're greeted by a heraldic badge that dates back centuries, the badge of the Prince of Wales. This design, which had been used on the reverse since the coin's inception in 1971, includes a plume of 3 ostrich feathers encased in a coronet, accompanied by a ribbon bearing the German phrase, Ich diene, which translates to, I serve. The design is deeply symbolic, representing royal heritage and the enduring legacy of monarchy and duty. Above the badge is the denomination, the words, 2 pence, and below it, the year, 2001. But here is where things get fascinating. While millions of these coins were minted for general circulation, a small number, an incredibly small number, possess anomalies that elevate them from common currency to priceless relics. Some of the 2001 coins were struck with errors. These include double strikes, misalignments, and even die rotation issues. Such minting mishaps, though unintentional, become the very reason why collectors around the world hunt for them. But what if I told you that even among these rare specimens, one particular 2 pence from 2001 was hiding a secret so rare, it could only be described as miraculous? A story emerged from a small village in Kent where an elderly man, a retired schoolteacher with a passion for coin collecting, was sorting through a jar of old coppers. Among the dusty coins, he noticed something peculiar, a 2001 2 pence that felt lighter than expected. He picked it up, held it under the light, and saw that the color, too, seemed slightly off. Intrigued, he placed it under a magnifying glass. There it was, a minting anomaly that no one had ever documented before. It appeared to be a transitional error, struck using an outdated bronze blank rather than the copper-plated steel standard introduced years earlier. He sent the coin for analysis. Experts confirmed the truth. Somehow, during a brief moment in the Royal Mint's operations, a few leftover bronze blanks had been fed into the machines, creating a handful of 2001 2 pence coins that defied official specifications. These coins, indistinguishable to most people, were now among the rarest currency ever found in the UK. The discovery sent ripples through the numismatic community, and collectors began scouring their collections in hopes of finding another. As months passed, whispers of other variants appeared. One such coin showed evidence of an off-center strike. Another bore a ghostly image from a clashed die, revealing faint remnants of the Queen's portrait on the reverse. Each of these quirks turned an ordinary coin into a story, a moment frozen in the mechanics of the mint. The 2001 2 pence, once overlooked and undervalued, had suddenly become a legend, but rarity alone doesn't guarantee astronomical value. What makes this coin truly priceless is the combination of scarcity, historical context, and an emotional narrative that touches the soul of collectors. The turn of the millennium was a symbolic period. It marked not just a new century, but also the closing chapters of many traditions. For the UK, it was a time of both reflection and progression. The monarchy was evolving, the economy was adapting, and British identity was navigating its place in a globalized world. This coin, minted in the heart of that moment, became a silent witness to it all. Now consider this: coin collectors, especially those specializing in era coins or transitional issues, understand the profound value of a one-of-a-kind piece. At a high-profile auction held in London, one of these anomalous 2001 2 pence coins, verified as a bronze planchet strike, was introduced under strict security. The bidding began conservatively, but as word spread among elite collectors, the atmosphere in the room changed. Phones lit up. Offers surged. Collectors from Tokyo, New York, and Dubai began competing. The final bid? A jaw-dropping $21 million. The auction house erupted in astonishment. Never before had a 2 pence coin reached such a stratospheric value. And yet, when you consider the coin's unmatched rarity, its historical placement, and its technical anomaly, the price made perfect sense to the right buyer. For that collector, it wasn't just about owning a coin, it was about possessing a time capsule, a slice of history that no museum had and no mint could ever replicate. This story didn't end there. The record-breaking sale triggered a wave of renewed interest in British copper coins. People across the UK began emptying their change jars, hoping lightning might strike twice. Coin dealers reported an explosion of inquiries about the 2001 Two Pence. Social media lit up with photos of coins under magnifying glasses, and numismatic forums saw a tidal wave of new members joining daily. The Queen's effigy, the Prince of Wales badge, the humble copper finish, all suddenly took on a deeper meaning. They weren't just artistic features anymore. They were symbols of a lost era, markers of a hidden treasure that had been passed hand to hand, unseen for years. For the average person, it became a reminder that sometimes, the extraordinary is hiding in plain sight. And so, the legend of the 2001 Elizabeth II Two Pence continues to grow. It lives not only in auction catalogs and collector safes but also in the dreams of everyday people who now check every coin that passes through their hands. It's a story that unites the past with the present, showing that value isn't always measured by gold or jewels. Sometimes, it's found in a copper coin no bigger than a button, waiting patiently to be discovered. If you're holding a 2 pence from 2001, take a closer look. We're not saying it's worth $21 million. But then again, neither did the retired schoolteacher, until he checked. Because in the world of coins, every piece has a story. And some stories are worth a fortune. Thank you for joining us today on HD Ultra Rare Coins. If this tale has sparked your curiosity or ignited a new passion for coin collecting, be sure to like, subscribe, and hit that bell icon so you never miss a discovery. After all, the next great treasure might be sitting in your very pocket.